Well, the NFL trade deadline is less than a week away. So between now and November 4th, it's go time for contenders and their general managers. Today, we're diving into a list of AFC contenders, which moves they should make to make that playoff push. And here are the odds to win the AFC. And the Chiefs are 5-1 since dropping those first two games, so the dynasty alive and well. They are favorites to win the conference at plus 240, followed by who else? The Bills, who are actually going to meet them in Week 9 or host them in Buffalo. After that, the upstart 7-1 Colts, followed by the Broncos and the Patriots, rounding at the top 5 odds to win the AFC. Putting their general manager hats on with us today, our guys Douzable and Pete Prisco joining us here in studio. And I'll start with you, and let's start right at the top of that list with the Chiefs. What's the move Kansas City needs to make or should make if they want to continue this run they're on this year?
Yeah, they don't need many moves, Mike, but one that I think they should potentially make is Harrison Phillips, trading from the Jets to the Chiefs. Now, he was already traded this year, and then we've seen other guys traded twice in one season, right? Kenny Pickett was traded twice. I believe Sam Howell was traded twice in the season. They need to refortify the interior of that defensive line. Now, there is a rumor that Mike Purnell could potentially sign really soon, and we know that Chris Jones really loves him, and he's been vying for him to get back on this roster. But I think Harrison Phillips could really elevate their run defense. I think that next to Chris Jones will free him up, too, so he can do some other things in the run and the pass game. So Harrison Phillips from the Jets to the Chiefs.
I know you don't want to hear this as a Jets guy, but Nadi's actually played pretty well the last couple of years. He has.
He struggled when he first got there.
He did. He was bad when he first got there, but he's played pretty well. But they do need another big body.
Pete, when you talk about the Bills, who the Chiefs will meet this week, it's always about getting over the hurdles, which is Kansas City. Yeah. So is there a move out there to whether get Josh Allen help, get that defense help, something that will finally allow them to not only make that playoff push, but if in fact they do meet the Chiefs again in the playoffs, can get over that hump?
They need to get speed.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch them play on tape, they're not a fast offense. And I think that limits what Josh Allen does in the passing game. And yeah, they've been running the football, but at some point, they're going to have to throw the ball down the field. Mm-hmm. And they don't scare you down the field. Now, Palmer's been hurt, the guy they brought in as a free agent, and he did some good things down the field, but he's not a burner either. They need more speed. So Rashid Shaheed is my choice. Go get him. He's available. He's at the last year of his contract. I think the Saints are in a situation where they would probably be willing to peddle him. Yeah. So go get a guy who can add some speed to your offense. Is he a number one wide receiver? No. But he gives you a guy who can go get the football down the field.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Josh Palmer is as this week continues on, when he's going to actually come back, because we saw in that Atlanta game, they were able actually to go down the field to him one time, and then he gets banged up, and we never see it for the rest of the game. So to Pete's point, they need somebody that can really stretch the field. I like Shaheed to the Bills. It makes a lot of sense.
A veteran safety also, if they nose around that market a little bit. I think they've had some injuries back there, and so they might look into that market as well.
Right, and Pete, let's move down the list here now to the Colts, because they are the don't tell them that. They'll disagree with you, that they're the surprise team in the NFL. What would be a surprise move that they can make that would separate themselves from maybe that second tier of contenders and maybe bump them up to that Bills-Chiefs category?
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Really?
And the Giants have come out and said that they're not going to move him, but usually when a team comes out and says we're not going to move him, that means the price is going up.
Yep.
and he's in the final year. He's got one more year after this year on his contract. So are they going to give him a long-term deal? Probably not. Not after drafting Abdul Carter. So if you can get that would be pricey, by the way. That would be a move to go get. You're going to pay a premium price for
minimum
that.
probably second round.
Yeah, so but if I'm the Colts, I'm looking at that. This is a guy. I know you like their edge.
I like their edge guys.
You like Pay and Latu. I get it, but you can never have enough of those guys, and this guy could be a long-term solution to go with those guys. So I think I would explore that.
They also drafted Tui Molowau too, and he's starting to come along as well. So I don't mind the move. I just like some of their younger players as far as developing within the structure. Of
they're in it now. They
are. So to add pass rush would make some sense.
So you think that, Pete, the Giants? I mean, they're saying that they're not going to move him, but you think they could potentially move Kayvon Thibodeau when they built that lineup the way it looks?
Well, look, you're not going to be able to pay him after next year. Right. So if you're not going to pay him, why not get assets for him that are cheap, and maybe you could draft the defensive end.
And to that point, Brian Burns is still young, and he's probably having the best year of his career this year. And then you talked about it. Abdul Carter's a top 5 pick. They're probably going to pay him in the future as well. You're not going to pay three defensive ends on your roster.
It's good GM work there, right? Get some value for him.
Yeah.
All right, Ligier, the Broncos defense, we heard about it all offseason.
Yeah.
How they will make the Broncos contenders, or at least keep them in the hunt as Bo Nix goes through year 2.
Correct.
Do they need to add something to that defense now for the final second half of the season?
I think you'll find this one interesting, Mike, because we know that you have your ears and boots to the ground with the Miami Dolphins. Willie Gay Jr. And I say that because Alex Singleton has really struggled in pass coverage at times. That's where Willie Gay is at his best. Now, they finally let him play some defensive reps versus the Atlanta Falcons, and he played really well, but they haven't used him for the majority of the year. So if you're not going to use him, go ahead and get some assets for him. So I think Denver could potentially make a move for Willie Gay Jr. because he could help. He'd have a specialized fit on that defense, more specifically on third down as a pass coverage linebacker.
I like that move. That would be a good move. But, and by the way, Willie Gay must not have practiced hard to get the orange jersey.
Okay.
I don't understand how they have not played that dude the entire year until last week.
Well, as being like the Dolphin guy, I can kind of tell you why. It's because they've got 4, I think, inside linebackers that they like. They've got Jordan Brooks. They've got Terrell Dotson, who are there. So it's kind of like you have so many, but you can't play them all at the same time.
You can play them some, though.
But when he's on the field, he does make an immediate impact.
And to that point, Mike, all you got to do is go to the Houston Texans. They rotate their 3 linebackers. Why can't the Miami Dolphins rotate him in? Like, again, at the end of the day, exactly, at the end of the day, you want the best guys out there. And if guys are fresh and they know that there's a competition, you're going to get the best out of each player. So I get it, right? You love Dotson, you love Brooks, but it's just like the way Willie Gay played and how he really energized that team throughout training camp in the summer. For the life of me, I understand why he was not on the field.
I guarantee if you tell Willie Gay you're going to trade him to Denver, he'd race.
He'd run.
He'd run there. He wouldn't even need a flight. He'd just run there.
Good news about Willie Gay, if he does end up in Denver, he gets to wear an orange jersey every week, to your point. All right, Pete. The Patriots and Drake May, they're for real. Drake May is so much fun to watch. Do they need to get him some help here?
Well, look, they have young receivers that I think they like, but you can never go wrong getting a veteran and bring him into that group to go with Diggs. I mean, look, Diggs is there. I think Douglas is on his way, and he's starting to play, and Booty's really playing well.
Yeah.
But you can never have enough of those guys. And when you have a quarterback like Drake May, why not go get a veteran like Jacoby Myers? I think he would make a lot of sense. He's been there before. Bring him back. He knows the offense. He knows Josh McDaniels. I think that would make a lot of sense.
100%, right? He had probably one of his better years with McDaniels at the helm as the offensive coordinator. He's kind of been knocked down the depth chart with the Raiders. They haven't been able to get him the ball consistently. Last year, he was the guy when Devontae got traded off, and it's been a stark trash this year. So I know he's looking to get traded. Why not go back home where you started your career?
And he wants out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I know he's looking to be traded. Out, so.
Come back home. All right, you mentioned the Dolphins. Obviously, I have my eye on the Ravens game this week, Thursday Night Football tomorrow. Baltimore is coming to town. Lamar Jackson should be back, but he is far from the only Raven that's been injured this year. The list is incredible.
Yeah.
Do they need to add some depth somewhere, maybe on defense?
Yeah, I went to the edge with them, Jalen Phillips, and for the life of me, I don't know why they traded Oweh, right? Taking all the Miami Dolphins, right? Just taking all the putting Mike in a tough predicament up here.
Mike, it's a garage sale.
Sell if you're the Miami Dolphins. They need edge help in the worst way. Now, Mike Green showed up on Sunday, but still, they need more pass rushers, especially if they're going to take this run, right?
Yeah.
Pete, we talked about their schedule. It does lighten up for them, but they got to be able to get after the quarterback. Their secondary is finally getting healthy, starting to play a lot better, but they need subsequent pass rushers. Jalen Phillips in the last year of his deal makes a lot of sense.
I mean, there's a nice lamp. I don't like the lamp. Jalen Phillips, I'll take him. What do you think about this old toaster? Nope. How about Bradley Chubb? Nope, we'll take him.
I feel like Will Smith in that meme where he's just all alone in the house by himself. If Leger was a GM, I'd just be alone out there in Miami Gardens.
By the way, up until last week, the Ravens might have been teetering on being sellers.
Yeah.
And now not anymore. I think they're buyers now.
The only team in that division to get a win last week.
Pretty much.
All right, Pete. The Chargers, they snapped out of an early slump, but that division with the Broncos and the Chiefs, obviously tough. What's a move that can help them keep pace and then make a move into the playoff?
Find a running back.
Yeah.
And a guy that's probably available is Tony Pollard. I think you might be able to get him, pry him loose from a bad Tennessee team. Look, they're trying to rebuild. They need assets. You could probably get him, put him into that offense. Because, look, Vidal's done a nice thing.
Yes.
But he's not the long-term, between the tackles guy. They need help there. Hampton's not there. They lost Harris. So I think Pollard would make a lot of sense. defense. Jerome Ford's another name I've heard as a possibility.
And the way that they've been throwing the ball around now, they've finally started to get the run game going with Vidal in the backfield, but Tony Pollard's skill set will really help them out of the backfield catching the football the way Justin Herbert's been able to spin it. You talked about it. We don't know when Amarion Hampton is coming back, so I actually like this move. I think Alvin Kamara is another guy you have to keep on watch list for the Chargers. He makes a lot of sense there as well.
Like Jalen Phillips, he could walk across the field, though. They play them.
Leave one team playing for another. All right, enough talk about my neck of the woods. Pete, let's go to your old neck of the woods. Jacksonville, is there an answer to what's ailing them? I swear, if you say a Dolphin player, I'm going to do the rest of the show over there.
Actually about to say one former Dolphin player,
one former Dolphin player and a Dolphin player. Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell. They need defensive line help. They need to get pressure on
Mike's get off the stage.
What am I supposed to do at work the next few days?
He's by himself in the room by himself.
And you'll admit this. Zach Sealer didn't play as well for much of this season as he had in previous years. He got the contract. Sometimes guys get a contract and not as good. He started to flash the last couple weeks, though.
Right.
And his contract is not prohibitive. And I looked at it, and I think that they could if they really want to go get a guy that can help them on the interior of the defense, he would make sense. And Calais Campbell actually picked Arizona over going back to Jacksonville because of I think it was because of the money. They offered him more money. Well, now maybe the Cardinals become sellers and he can go back to Jacksonville. They need some interior pressure because they're not getting any of that.
Yeah.
No push up front. All right, Lige, the AFC North, as we mentioned, up for grabs. Only one team last week got a W in that division. That was the Ravens. The Steelers have lost 2 in a row. That's a big reason why the AFC North is kind of still in flux. What move can they make to sort of right the ship there?
It's not going to be a Dolphin this time. I'm interested to see what Pete thinks about this. Christian Fulton. We talked about how the secondary is old in Pittsburgh, and you'll be able to, I know he just signed there this offseason, but you'll be able to get off that contract if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. And they have leaned towards their younger guys. No Williams
he's banged up, though.
But he was actually a healthy scratch last week because No Williams has played well. But my thing is if he's finally healthy now, he could definitely help that secondary because they have so much age on that secondary. He's only 27 years old. Besides Joey Porter, he'll probably be the youngest guy in that secondary room. So they've struggled mightily with their pass defense. I think Christian Fulton will be highly motivated if he is traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it makes a lot of sense.
They should definitely explore the secondary market, not just look at safeties too if they possibly can. And I know they brought in Kyle Duggar.
They just traded for Duggar.
I don't know if he's going to fix what they have because he hadn't played very well either. So they need to get a corner.
Pete had mentioned how the Ravens were kind of teetering on that edge of, hey, they might be sellers because of the way the injuries had started to mount up and the way their season was going. Lige, Houston, they're 3-4.
They're on the edge.
They're hanging on the edge there, but there is enough time to turn the season around. Should they be active at the deadline? And if they are, where do they need to be active?
Well, me and Pete talked about this. If the offense played like it did versus San Fran, they should definitely be active at the deadline because with that defense, they're going to be in every single game. And I'm going to refortify that defense with David Onyemata from the Atlanta Falcons. I thought this Atlanta team would maybe push the Bucs for a spot in the playoffs and maybe even the NFC South crown. I was totally wrong how they played. Obviously, Kirk Cousins coming into the offense. They look anemic on offense on that side of the football, but the defense hasn't played well either. And that is the mantra of their coach. You would think that side of the ball would actually play well. So I refortify that defensive line. They do have 2 bookends, and they need to refortify that defensive line to get some of that push. David Onyemata can provide that.
By the way, if Onyemata is on the market, I think Jacksonville would explore that as well because you got to get that guy pushing up the field.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm supposed to thank you both, but I'm not.
Mike said there's no Dolphins left.
Go in there. You might find a toaster. You might find a Dolphin or 2. Just go nose around. It's every Saturday and Sunday. Every Saturday and Sunday they have these garage sales all over town.
Leave me alone. All right. Don't forget CBS Sports HQ. Game day recap Sundays at 8:20. Haley and the crew and that guy Pete will help you recap everything that happened in Week 9 of the NFL.